Hi everyone, welcome again. The first thing we need to understand is the concept of cache hit and cache miss. Let's talk about these now. What is a cache hit? A cache hit occurs when we request a piece of data and we find it in the cache. That means the data that we requested is already stored in the cache memory. So we don't have to go back to the original source. Consider a scenario where an application needs to read the employee record. It checks the cache and it finds the same employee record in the cache. So in this case, the request is fulfilled by the cache without needing to access the original data source, which could be a database or any external API which is responsible for returning the data of employees. And so this is considered a cache hit because we found the data in the cache. And there are obvious benefits of cache hits because they result in faster data retrieval. Since the data that we requested is already present in the cache, there's no need to fetch it from the original source, which oftentimes is slower and more resource intensive as compared to the cache memory. And so it directly contributes to the application performance. Cache hits reduce the latency and they improve the overall responsiveness of the application. And that's why we always try to maximize the cache hits in order to optimize the data access. Now, what about the cache miss? A cache miss occurs when we request a piece of data and it is not there in the cache memory. So that means now we have to read the same data from the original data source. Consider the same use case where the application is reading an employee record. It checks the cache first, but in this case, it does not find the record in the cache. So now the application must fetch the data from the original data source, which could be the database, it could be a file system or any other external API. A cache miss is not favorable because it will introduce a slight delay in the data retrieval process compared to the cache hits, although they are expected. Because as we talked about, caching is about storing the frequently accessed data. It is generally a subset of the data. And when we are storing a subset of the data, there will always be some data set that will result in a cache miss. Or when we are dealing with a very dynamic data set or any infrequently accessed data set, in that case also we experience cache misses. There are different ways to mitigate the impact of cache misses as we will discuss in future lessons, like eagerly loading the cache, which is also known as prefetching, or using a larger cache size so that we can store more data, or keeping the cache refreshed and up to date so that we can report the up to date data. Here in this example, we have the application and we have the caching layer, and on the right hand side we have the source. And in this case, let's say the source has two elements, I1 and I2. In this example, when the application needs to read the item I1, it checks the cache first, and in this case, it finds the item I1 in the cache. So this is considered a cache hit. But when the application is requesting item I2, it checks the cache, but in this case, the item I2 is not present in the cache. So this will result into a cache miss, and in this case, the application will read the data directly from the source. Talking about the cache hit and cache miss, it is important that we keep monitoring the number or the percentage or the ratio of cache hits and cache misses in order to improve the data access patterns. Because having a high cache hit rate ensures that a significant portion of data requests can be fulfilled by the cache quickly. So that's all for now. See you in the next video.